What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're going to be finishing up our Cornerstone series. We've talked about the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers, and now today we will talk about the top 12 tight ends, cornerstone pieces you can roster in a rebuild in a contending window, and the note that you should have, the criteria for what these tight ends have to have in order to be considered a cornerstone piece is that all of these players must be 27 years of age or younger at the start of this NFL season. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into today's video and let's start talking about these tight ends. So as you can see, we have the tier maker pulled up on the screen right now. And just like we've done with all of these other videos, we will start at the bottom, working our way all the way to the top at the S tier. And that takes us to our D tier right now, where I have 3 players in this tier. The first player in this tier is going to be Sinnott of the Washington Commanders. Our second player is going to be Luke Musgrave of the Green Bay Packers. And then we're also going to have Ja'Tavion Sanders of the Carolina Panthers. And here is the thing, man. All of these tight ends kind of have the question marks for me. Now, Luke Musgrave, he showed us a little bit during his time in Green Bay this year. And I think he might be kind of the odd man out in this tier, but I couldn't put him in the tier above because you'll see as we get to those players you just feel a little bit more confident in than you do Luke Musgrave. And I think part of that is because you have a guy in Tucker Kraft who, when he got some playing time, he looked pretty decent in this offense. This offense as a whole, there's a lot of murkiness, a lot of crowded rooms. We just don't know who are the guys in this offense. And we know it's a talented offense led by Jordan Love, but I think there are some question marks with Luke Musgrave. So he finds himself in this tier here with Sinnott and Ja'Tavion Sanders, who were probably 2 of the better tight end prospects in this year's class. Obviously, you had Brock Bowers at the top, but outside of that, these were the next 2 guys. JT Sanders and Sinnott, they go into tight end rooms where they're going to most likely be the number 1 guys week 1. I expect Sinnott to be a reliable option in the passing game for new rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. I expect Ja'Tavion Sanders to be hopefully a receiving option in this offense with the Carolina Panthers, where they have used tight ends in the past. We hope that they can do it again here with JT Sanders, but all of these guys, there are some question marks. There's not a lot that we can really hang our hats on at this point, but I think these guys are young enough, they have enough upside that we should feel pretty confident with them here in this D tier. Now moving on to our C tier, this is that tier that I said I just didn't feel as confident in Luke Musgrave being a part of, but I have a couple guys here. Jake Ferguson is the first one that I want in this tier. I also want Kmet in this tier, and I want Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers in this tier. And here's the thing, man. All of these guys have shown us that they can put up top 12 numbers at the position. Now, Jake Ferguson, he's the guy that I feel the most confident about in this tier because you look at this Dallas Cowboys offense, what they have done this offseason, and they really haven't added any weapons. Last year, Jake Ferguson was the number 2 receiving option in this offense for the majority of the year. Michael Gallup has left town. It's still Brandon Cooks. It's maybe Jalen Tolbert season, and I don't know how confident we feel in that, but what that means is that there's going to be a lot of opportunity on the table for Jake Ferguson again this year. I think this Dallas Cowboys offense is a very good offense in the NFL right now. There's going to be a lot of opportunity, and we've seen them feature tight ends for multiple years now. They did it with Dalton Schultz. They did it with Ferguson last year. They're going to be doing it with Ferguson again this year. CeeDee Lamb and Dak, obviously that is the duo that you want in Dallas, but I think Ferguson is the 3rd best fantasy football option on this offense outside of those 2. So I'm very confident in Jake Ferguson, and I think he's kind of a sneaky guy this year. I think he could really put up top 5, top 6 numbers at the position in 2024. Now you got Kmet. Kmet, he's been very good for fantasy football purposes, but a lot of the time that he has been good, he hasn't had the wide receiving core that is around him now in 2024. Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, it makes things a little bit crowded for Kmet, and now he is most likely the 3rd or 4th option at best in this offense because I expect DJ Moore to get more. I also expect Rome Odunze or Keenan Allen, whichever one it's going to be the number 2 option. That leaves Kmet at best as 3rd. I don't know, man. I feel like he's a very talented player. He obviously signed the extension to stay here in Chicago, and it just seems like it's getting a little crowded around him. And I think with tight ends, when you look at what you want out of them, you need guys who are going to get some volume, especially in those tight end premium leagues. I don't know how much Kmet can get as far as volume goes. He can be efficient with the touches, but he seems a little bit riskier than both of the other guys guys in this tier, because you look at Pat Freiermuth now and looking at this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, obviously Deontay Johnson is out of town. They add Roman Wilson. There's rumors of potentially adding another wide receiver in. I am recording this before I leave on vacation, so it is about probably a week and a half before you guys see this video. So maybe they do have another wide receiver in town. I've seen some rumors about Brandon Ayuk potentially being a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2024. Now, if that happens, this changes the way that we view this, but as of today, and that is June 10th, Pat Freiermuth is the number 2 receiving option in this offense, most likely week 1, because I expect George Pickens and Freiermuth to be the guys in this offense. Russell Wilson most likely under center in week 1. I think that's what we should expect for the majority of 2024. He seems like a guy who he has given us good production in the past, nothing that has been elite, but I think the best days of Pat Freiermuth's career are probably ahead of him at this point. And I know there's an elephant in the room, and that is going to be the people who had rostered Kyle Pitts. Arthur Smith being the play caller there in Atlanta, you're getting nightmares now because you hear about Pat Freiermuth, Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh. You've also heard about Pat Freiermuth saying that he likes the offense that Arthur Smith has. I don't think that this is a big deal for me. I'm not going to read too much into the tea leaves here, but Pat Freiermuth, he wraps up this C tier, and a tier that I think is a step up from the one below because the floor is just a little bit higher with probably equal ceilings as well. So let's move on to the B tier. The B tier has 2 guys in this tier. The first one is going to be TJ Hockenson of the Minnesota Vikings, and the second one is going to be Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. And now we're talking about some guys that are high-end, elite tight end options, but we have some question marks as well. Now, Kyle Pitts, I think we're hoping that he takes that step forward here in 2024. Kirk Cousins under center. Now we have a new coach in the building that is hopefully going to use the weapons that they have. We've seen Kirk Cousins target the tight end, specifically the tight end TJ Hockenson that's sitting right next to him in this tier. I think Kyle Pitts, he has the talent. He hasn't necessarily had the play around him to exceed expectations, but if he is going to do it, it's going to have to be this year. I think Kyle Pitts, this is a make or break season. You can't have a new coach and a new quarterback and not perform. If that happens, people are going to say, you know what, we're done with Kyle Pitts, but I believe in him. I think he has the opportunity to do it this year, and I think he can do it this year. Now, you look at TJ Hockenson, I probably would have him higher in this list if it weren't for the gruesome knee injury that he suffered last year. I think it is going to hinder him the majority of the 2024 season, and it could be 2025 before we start seeing TJ Hockenson get back to who he was before the injury. And then you have to throw in the variable of, well, we have a new quarterback in Minnesota, JJ McCarthy. What is this offense going to look like with him under center instead of Kirk Cousins? I think those are enough question marks to kind of put him behind the guys that I do have ahead of him, but the talent speaks for itself with TJ Hockenson. He is an elite tight end option, and really starting in this tier going up, these tiers above, these are all of the tiers where all of these guys are going to be the most comfortable, the best tight ends that you can possibly have in Dynasty Fantasy Football, and all of these guys are going to be assets that you love at the tight end position moving forward. But let's go on to that A tier. This A tier is where we really step up into that upper echelon, and you got guys in here like Brock Bowers, we got guys like Trey McBride, and we also have guys like Dalton Kincaid. Now, all of these guys have elite tight end 1 potential. And I think that Dalton Kincaid specifically, when you look at what he has going into the year here in 2024, a wide receiver room that has Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, really nobody who has been established in this Buffalo Bills offense. And then you look at Dalton Kincaid and you say, hey, there's a chance that he is the target leader in this Josh Allen-led offense and on a team that could be in a lot of shootout games. I think Dalton Kincaid has the ability to finish as the tight end 1 in 2024. And we talk about the youth. We talk about the skill set that Dalton Kincaid has. He has everything that you want out of an elite tight end as far as the receiving talent goes. And I think he is going to be pushing for the tight end 1 conversation going into 2025 with the guy that we have in the S tier. And then Trey McBride. Obviously, he had a great year last year. You add a little bit of competition into this wide receiver room. I think that's why I'm going to move Dalton Kincaid ahead of him in my rankings. You do have Marvin Harrison Jr., generational wide receiver talent, generational prospect, somebody who is going to demand a ton of targets. But outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. There's really no receiving options in this offense that demand targets. Guys like Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, Greg Dort, that is the competition in this offense. So I think Trey McBride, he is still going to be an elite tight end option, and he was dominant last year in fantasy football down the stretch. I don't expect that to change as well. He's a receiving threat, young, all of those good things that we want to see. And then you have a guy like Brock Bowers, who, yes, this is a generational prospect. And I just said it about Marvin Harrison, but Brock Bowers is generational at the tight end position. He is going to be probably the long-term #1 receiving option in this Las Vegas Raiders offense, because we don't expect Davante Adams to be around for much longer. He's already 32 years old. I think that Brock Bowers has the ability to truly be a receiving weapon like Travis Kelce has been in Kansas City. We just got to see what happens with this quarterback position. Obviously, Minshew is the Band-Aid right now. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I don't think anybody expects Minshew to be a franchise quarterback, and I don't think that Aiden O'Connell is either. So there's probably going to be some turnover at this quarterback position over the next couple of years. For Brock Bowers, he's as talented as it gets, and he is going to be elite for fantasy football because he is probably going to get a massive target share in this offense, and he has the talent to do insane things with the football in his hands. So let's go on to the S tier. There's one guy, and I'll be honest, he is in the S tier by himself, but he feels like a guy that I want to tear down from and get into that Kincaid, McBride, Brock Bowers tier almost every single time this year because of the perceived value of a guy like Sam LaPorta. Now, there is no debate. Sam LaPorta, as a rookie, he gave us the greatest rookie tight end season of all time. And so this S tier is deserved. But when we're talking about the offenses, it does seem like Sam LaPorta's offense is the most crowded of those top 4 guys. And it also seems like a lot of the production that he had was on touchdowns, which we know is not necessarily a sticky stat. He could probably replicate it. It's just going to be a little bit tougher than being a guy that gets a lot of target volume. So I think that Sam LaPorta, he deserves to be in this S tier, but the savvy move for dynasty managers right now is to go from Sam LaPorta into a Kincaid or a McBride or a Bowers and get an extra piece thrown in on top, because the extra piece is going to be substantial right now based on the perception of the community. Like I said, deserved by Sam LaPorta. Absolutely dominant rookie season. I think he is an S tier type of cornerstone tight end, but I think that there's a guy like Dalton Kincaid who can enter that conversation. So again, I'm going to say it, the savvy managers will down tier from LaPorta into Kincaid this year and reap the rewards, plus getting the added bonus in that trade. So that is the cornerstone tight ends. And when we talk about like actual cornerstone pieces, I think those top 4, LaPorta, Kincaid, McBride, Bowers, these are some of the elite tight ends and will be the elite tight ends for the foreseeable future. Now, that is all I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Also, make sure, if you guys are not already, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell on this channel. That way you guys never miss a future upload from us and you see all of our future content. And last but not least, make sure you guys are a member of the Discord. We do have a free Discord linked in the description. We're helping you guys with dynasty teams, trade reviews, all of that good stuff. There's so much good stuff in that Discord. We've built an awesome community here at the League FFB. And like I said, it's free to join, so there is no risk in doing that. With all of that out of the way, I will see you guys on our next video. But until then, peace out.